Okay, this morning I am going to show you how to make the biscuits and gravy from our master mix. If you don't know about the master mix, you can go on one of my videos and look up master mix, and you can make it from scratch and set it aside, put it in a container, label it master mix, and then you're able to use that whenever you want to make cakes, breads, whatever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow my master mix. Okay. And to make it easier, instead of getting it from the out of here, I'm just going to pour it into a bowl so that I can measure it a lot easier. Just pour some in here. Okay, I only need, if you're looking at the master mix, it says you need 3 cups. So, did I get, I got a third. There it is. I need 3 cups of my master mix and 2/3 cup of milk. So, 3 cups of this. I'm just going to fluff it a little bit here. Fluff it, shake it a little bit. 1, 2, and 3 cups of that master mix. That's all you need. And I'll put that back in my container later. And then we need the 2/3 cup of milk, and I have a 1/3 cup here. Now you can use any milk you want. Doesn't matter, but I prefer, you know, if you have whipping cream, use the whipping cream. But if you don't, just use regular milk, 2/3 cup, okay? I think that the whipping cream gives a little bit more flavor because it has the butter in it. And also, I'm going to add, it's not on the recipe, but I do like mine a little sweet. Just a little. So, let me see if I'm going to measure this out for you guys. Probably just going to add a tablespoon of sugar. There you go. And we're going to mix that up. While that's mixing, I got my rolling pin. I'm going to move the stuff out the way. Okay, and you want to just mix it until it's doughy, like a dough form. It's not, don't mix it until it's a ball, but just so it'll gather together. That's all you really need. Don't really need to overdo the gluten. If you do it too much, it won't be as fluffy and light like a biscuit should be, because you overworked that gluten in there. We don't want to make noodles or anything like that. We just want a light, fluffy biscuit. So I take some of that flour, and I'm just gonna move the stuff out the way. I'm just gonna lightly spread it out on my counter. You see it's a nice crumble. Okay. There we go. Nice little crumble. Now I can move this out of my way as well. And I've got my sheet right here ready to put my biscuits on when I'm done. So I'm just going to give it a quick kind of mold into a disc. See how crumbly it is? That's okay. crumbly is all right. We're just gonna mold it into a disc, just so we can roll it out and get into a disc. And it's slowly coming together so it'll form a disc. Okay, there we go. All right, now I'm just going to take my rolling pin and roll it out to the thickness that you want. I would say usually you want it thick enough to have, I'd say, you don't want it too thin because it's not gonna, it'll be really, really thin and then it won't be thick enough to cut through because you want it to be pretty good thickness to cut through. And if I'm looking at it, let's say my finger, my little pinky is raised a little bit above it. So about half the size of my pinky. Right there is probably good thickness. And I've got my cookie, or biscuit cutter, I should say. And if you don't have a biscuit cutter, you can always use one of those big tuna cans. And you can just puncture the bottom of it, make a hole, and of course take everything out of the tuna can, puncture a hole in it, use it to cut your biscuits. Now, I kind of like my generic biscuit cutter. I've used it for years. You know, if you have one and you want to use your biscuit cutter, that's great. But if you don't, you can use one of these. And see how easy that puncturing that hole in it makes it so you can just pull it right out. Let's see. And you can see the thickness on there. See how thick that is? Just like when you get it from the store. It's probably that thick there. And I'm just going to lay them right here on top. And then I'm just going to put these pieces together, mold them in there into a ball again. Pull it out, about the same thickness. Cut another biscuit. Do it again. This is not too difficult. Pull it out, cut it out. Let's see, I might be able to get one more biscuit out of there. 2, 4, 6, 7 biscuits. Maybe. And this one, probably not going to be real pretty, but you know what, it's still a biscuit. So that's the way we're going to do it. And I'm just going to go ahead and just mold that just like it is. I'm going to leave that alone. It's going to be a small little biscuit. Okay. I'm going to put all mine to the outside. That's what I want to do. And then we'll grab an egg here. Do a little bit of a wash if you want to. This is optional. Okay, so I've got my egg mixture here. Egg yolk, egg whites, a little bit of water. And you can just spread it with your fork, spread it with a spoon, spread it with your fingers. It doesn't matter. Do whatever you like. And this will give it a nice crust on your biscuit. Okay. Set that aside and just take my fork again. Just gonna clean it up a little bit. So set over there. There we go. Okay, we'll put these in the oven. Like I said, it's going to take us about, 10 minutes for those to cook. And we'll check them every now and then just to make sure that they're cooking right. And I'll show you what it looks like when they're done. My biscuits are in the oven cooking, and I got like 6 minutes left on them. And while they're in the oven, I am going to start my my roux is what they call it. So what I'm going to do is I've got a whole stick of butter here. I'm just going to add that to the pan, and I'm going to turn this on medium high. And we're just going to let this butter melt into the pan. There we go. I had it on dual high. I want to put it on single high since the pan is not as big as my skillets are. And I'll put the lid over here. And while this butter is melting, I'm going to go ahead and chop up my sausage. And pretty much sausage is whatever you want. I've got some frozen links here. I'm going to take probably four links. That would take too much sausage. It's really up to you how much sausage you like. But I'm just going to cut them in half. Just like that. And then we're just going to dice them up. I don't want them to be too big of pieces, so I'll just take 3 here at a time and dice them up. And it doesn't have to look a certain way. You could cut them up again, and it would look like onions if you want them diced like that. That's totally up to you. But it doesn't matter. What matters is if it tastes good, that's what matters the most. And right now, this is turkey sausage, and I prefer Jimmy Dean. I like Jimmy Dean. I like their flavor of sausage. So you can get them in the links, or you could get them in patties. Either way, doesn't matter. The patties, you do the same thing. You just cut them up into whatever sizes you want. And I would say that's what. Let's just see. I think it's about a cup. Yeah, I've done about a cup of sausage here. Just so you guys will know what it is. Okay, so that's my sausage. Okay, I'm gonna look at my butter here. Let's see, some of it's melted. Let's just help it along. And I'm just gonna stir it up here. Get it to be all melted before I add my flour. Okay, let's see. And I'm just going to get regular flour, all-purpose flour. Get that out. Oh yeah. I'm just going to get little kind of a sifter, because that's what we want to do. We want it to sift the flour into the butter as soon as the butter is melted. And we're going to do the 8 tablespoons of flour as well. So I have my tablespoons here. As soon as that's melted, I got 2 minutes left on my biscuits to check my biscuits here. Turn the light on my oven. Kind of see what they're going to be. There you go. I also want to melt a little bit of butter. Oh, everything is falling down. Okay. I'm going to show you guys a little trick here. If you ever bought this yogurt, okay, OE yogurt, the glass that it comes in is so awesome to use for melted butter. You just put the stick of butter in there, half a stick of butter in there, and you put it on for like 30 seconds, and it melts it really, really nice. This glass can be reused, and reused. You can take all the labels off, of course, and use them, but this is perfect for melting butter. No more plastic in the microwave. Just tap it in there for 30 seconds, and that's going to go on that butter. You can put it back in the freezer and let it get hard again, and you just keep reheating it whenever you need it, adding to it whenever you need it. All right, my butter is totally melted. Wow. All right, totally melted. So I'm going to take my flour. I said 8 tablespoons. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. And I'm just going to take that and sift it through with my butter. Okay, my biscuits say they're done. Let me just take a moment to check my biscuits. Bring them out. I'll move this lid. I'm just going to bring them out here and set them aside. Nice. Ooh. There we go. These are my biscuits. See how they puffed up? Yes, if you look at my thumb size, they puffed up to about my thumb size there. Ooh, this pan is hot. So, put that on the stove. And I'm going to add my flour. I'll cancel my oven, turn that off. Just do a little bit at a time. No clumps, okay? No clumps. I just want to fold basically. It's just going to absorb into the butter. Be patient with it. Don't try to be fast with it because that's how you're going to get it clumpy. A little bit at a time. You can see it's getting thicker. Now when you work with flour instead of cornstarch, see flour, it takes like double what the cornstarch does. So we could have used cornstarch instead. So instead of using cornstarch, or instead of using flour, you could have used the cornstarch, or you would just half it. So if this is 8 tablespoons, you would use 4 tablespoons of cornstarch. You can do that. The reason why we do a roux is because we're using flour and we have to cook that flour taste out of it. You don't want this to taste floury. You just need it as a thickener. you know, and sometimes you got to use what you have. Sometimes you don't have cornstarch. So this is what you would do in case you don't have cornstarch. And if you don't like using cornstarch, you can always use flour. But if you're vegan, or gluten-free, I should say, not vegan, but if you're gluten-free, use the cornstarch. And use 4 tablespoons of cornstarch. And that'll give your sauce nice thick, you know. You could use maybe 4.5 to even 5 tablespoons of cornstarch, just to be on the safe side. And you would just mix that in with the butter, all the same. And I'm just going to press this through, just to not waste it. And I'm going to cook my flour. See that? I'm just cooking it. Cooking off the flour taste. It's going to become really nice and thick. And then we're just going to add our milk and seasonings to this. And the milk, you're going to need 4 cups of milk. And I got 2 out here because I don't have enough in this one. Keep that. See that? It's just so thick. And you can just tell like it's just coming off the bottom. See that? It's just whew, so bubbly. Okay, let's start with a cup at a time. 1. I'm going to slowly pour it in there and stir. Start becoming like a little pasty. That's okay. It's about 1/2 cup is what I just poured in there. Doing my 1/2 cup. Another 1/2 cup. I'm just going to stir that up. It's almost like a pancake mix. Is what it looks like right now. It's almost like mashed potatoes. Now we're just going to keep adding another cup. This will make 2. Slowly stir it in there. There we go. Going to combine it. You don't want to see any chunks. So we're just going to keep stirring until all is nice and smooth. What's that? So cool. See that? Easy. Nice and smooth. Once it's nice and smooth, you can add another cup of milk. I've got a little bit left here. You could use any kind of milk you want. I'm lactose intolerant, so I cannot use regular milk. And if you didn't know it, the people who are lactose intolerant, that's a good thing. The body should not be able to take the enzymes from the milk. So anyway, lactose takes out those enzymes are taken out to where you can consume milk. So, just in case you didn't know that, that's why people are lactose intolerant, because it's a normal thing to be lactose intolerant. If your stomach can stomach, basically, the milk, then you're, it's good. I was going to say, it's natural that you're not able to consume milk. It's okay. You're normal. That was 3, and this will be the last cup. All right, that makes 4 cups. Okay. And we're going to bring that to a boil. So it's already on medium high. So I am going to bring that to a boil. And you want to semi-constantly stir it up. I'm going to go ahead and add my sausage and my seasonings as it comes to a boil. So I want my sausage to be hot. I think that's plenty of sausage. But you can add more if you like. It's up to you. But I am going to use the seasonings here. I have this Creole seasoning. This is what you want to put in your biscuits and gravy. This is going to notch it up a little bit. So don't forget I'm not going to use that much, I don't think. But I'm just going to sprinkle. I have it in a tablespoon, a little less than a tablespoon. And I'm just going to sprinkle that over. I believe that's going to be enough. It's probably only maybe 2 teaspoons that I used. It's totally up to you. Just, you want to taste it to make sure. It will give it a little bit of a kick. So if you're not used to having spice, don't use as much, but it will give it that flavor. And then we also will use regular salt as well, our Himalayan salt. And I'm going to add a sprinkle of Himalayan salt on there. This is not really a salt seasoning. This is more of with the Creole. It doesn't have a lot of salt in it, so you will have to add salt to your sauce. And while that's working, I'm going to go ahead and take my, while that's getting ready to boil, I'm going to go ahead and butter my biscuits. So I've got my nice melted butter in this little jar. This used to be a yogurt jar, so if you can find them in the store, yogurt's actually pretty good too, so get the yogurt. The black cherry is the best, but I think. And I'm just going to take some butter, swirl it over my biscuit, let that soak in to my biscuit. I don't know if you can hear how crunchy the top is, but it's nice. Nice and fluffy. Now when you made that mix, if you didn't use the baking powder in there, it has to be good baking powder. Baking powder does get old, so if your biscuits don't rise, that means you got some bad baking powder in there. So make sure it's a good baking powder that you put in that biscuit mix. As you can see, it's risen really well. The bottom is nice and brown, and you're able to cut these in half. There's enough to cut it in half to make for the sauce. Now I leave it on the stove because the stove is going to enable this pan to stay hot while your sauce is getting thickened. Okay, and we're just going to taste. I need to taste and see how salty this is. If it's salty enough. Okay. I am going to add some more seasoning, more Creole seasoning to this. A little bit more flavor. Excuse me. And a little bit more salt. So I would probably use approximately a teaspoon and a half of salt to 2 teaspoons, depending on what your salt preference is. And I've used half a tablespoon of the Creole seasoning. Give this a stir. As you can see, it's starting to thicken. And right now it's really runny. You don't want it like that. You want it to come to a boil. It's getting hotter. Yes. That's the way I want my biscuits and gravy to be. All right. So I will be back once it starts to boil. Okay, my sauce is thick. Look at that. Look how thick it got. It's nice and thick. Okay, I turned the oven off, and I'm just going to plate this up. So I'm going to get a little paper here, put that in there, ladle, and I'm going to take my biscuit. I'm going to take the little one. Look at that, just fall apart. That doesn't matter. I'll take those two. And I'm just going to, look at that, it fell apart. I just can't believe it. Okay, so take my biscuit and I am going to cut it in half. That one came in half. That little one did not, but that's okay. No waste. So I'm just going to take my biscuits, add my biscuits and gravy on top, plate it up just like that. Take that off the heat. I don't want it cooking anymore. I don't want to get it too thick. So this is my biscuits and gravy. I hope you guys learned something today about how to make a roux. And like I said, if you want to learn about the biscuit or the master mix, you have to go to my other video to learn how to make the master mix. But when you want it and you want to make a quick breakfast, that's how you do it. You really got to try that with those biscuits. It's really, really good. Especially with that Creole seasoning sauce. That just gives it that extra kick. So, do try this. Enjoy yourself. And thanks for watching my channel. And I love you guys. Enjoy.